Hello and welcome to this video on an introduction to Kanban. This will be a really high level introduction. Won't really be talking about principles and practices and all those things, just kind of what is it when you see it in the wild. So here we go. Kanban is an approach to improving the way we work, particularly in ephemeral things like software development. So when I used to do construction projects, I used to do the IT parts of construction projects, I could see exactly where we were in process as we built the thing, and you could see each piece being built up as you went, right? You knew when there were concrete was poured, and when the studs went up for the walls were framed in, and then they put the sheetrock on. You could tell each step. With software, without that, you can't tell, and it's ephemeral, right? There's no visible things. So we make it visible by putting it on cards. Kanban actually is a Japanese word that means signal card. I can give you the history in a different video, but basically each one of these little guys here that you see on this board is a Kanban. There's a little card. There are Kanbans flowing across a Kanban board. It's pretty simple. You want to map your actual existing current process. Don't change a thing, and don't change anything. Just map what you're really doing. So you'd have stuff that's coming, you call that your backlog. The stuff that people are working on, maybe there's a group of people working on requirements, and a different group that are building, and a different group that is testing, and a different group that is your deployment team. So you just mark those things out. Just map out exactly what you do today, and then you give them an in process and done column, because usually that's how things end up. Usually getting stuff done here before it goes to the build there, or maybe it goes straight across, but put the column there anyway, just in case there happens to be a queue that forms. And that's really it. For the most basic start there and watch it. And then you want to do things like make your policies explicit. So you should have a definition of done for each of these columns, so that you know when are the requirements actually done, so that build can pick it up and work on it. When is build actually done, so that test can pick it up and work on it. When is testing actually done, so that it can be deployed. You need to have exit criteria for each one of those columns. And then you need to be looking at it and watching and finding where your bottlenecks are and managing that. Managing the flow of work through the system by looking at those bottlenecks and other impediments, and inspecting. There's a whole bunch of metrics and things that you measure with Kanban to look at that, and that'll be in a more detailed video that I'll make for you later. But really, this is the high level of what Kanban is. It's a way of visualizing your work as you're doing it today. So differentiating it from Scrum for you, because you may be more familiar with Scrum, there are no time boxes. So there isn't a defined time to do retrospectives. There isn't a defined time to do sprint planning, because there's no sprints. It's just flowing work all the time through the system. So I recommend that you set some for yourself, right? And most people would agree with that. I like to have it set at a regular cadence, just because it's nice to know when it's coming. Some teams will just say, well, we'll do a retrospective ad hoc when we need it. And that's fine too, as long as you do them. So when I'm working with a team, I would rather set it so that you're actually meeting on a regular basis. So do your retrospectives, do some form of planning. You need to look at the backlog, and you need to be working on that and making sure that it's prepped and ready to be developed, right? So you probably would have a column in between these two to actually visualize the real flow of work that you do right now. That column would actually be refined stories. So you'd have a backlog of a mishmash, then you'd have a column that is refined stories, then you'd have a column that is stories approved, maybe, I don't know, and then you would have it go into requirements, build, test, deploy. Right? So it just wants to mirror what you're doing right now, and then you start using it as a tool. So oftentimes people will say, we want to do Kanban, because they look at Scrum and go, crap, there's a lot of requirements there. You have to do all these, you have to do the sprint planning, and you're locked into this time box, and I have to estimate these things. And look, Kanban, we don't use points estimation at all. We just flow the work through. All right. We just want to do that because it's easier. Yeah, no. Kanban is actually harder to do than Scrum, because Kanban is based on uh, principles and understanding systems and understanding queuing theory and flow. It takes a lot more work to understand it and to make it work well for you. It also takes a lot more discipline, because there aren't sprints to help you along. If, okay, I'm going to sound like I'm being negative about Scrum, and I'm not. I like Scrum. But Scrum is sort of like training wheels for a Kanban system, comparatively, right? And not like you go, oh, well, you mature from Scrum and now you're doing Kanban. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Scrum gives you the training wheels that help you stay true to things that will help you. It gives you those things right away. Where Kanban says, here's the principles, figure it out, and fine tune your own system. So that's a little bit about Kanban. I'll go into much greater detail in the other videos in this section about Kanban, but that's it for here. So thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed it.